The darkness was approaching rapidly, enveloping me in its shadowy arms. I hastened to enter the mansion, feeling a strange fear in my stomach. As I touched the handle, I felt a cold shiver run through my hand. I looked around and saw only darkness and silence. I strained my ears, trying to hear any suspicious noises, but everything was quiet. With my heart pounding in my chest, I opened the door and stepped inside. I stopped suddenly, amazed at what I saw. The mansion was luxurious and elegant, with marble floors and expensive wallpaper. A white uniformed butler approached me, with a wide smile on his face. "Welcome to your new home, Master Alexandru von Gregorian," he said softly. "We have been eagerly anticipating your arrival." I looked at him, still scared of the darkness outside and amazed by all the light and warmth in the mansion. I felt like a lost child who had just been found and brought home. It dawned on me that this was my new home, and that I had much to learn about the new city I had arrived in. As Alex settled into his new home, he couldn't help but wonder about the city and all it had to offer. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, Nate was arriving and making plans to conquer the city. It was only a matter of time before their paths would cross, and they would both discover the adventures that awaited them. Nate Moretti was a young, brave, and handsome man who drew the attention of everyone. He checked into a luxurious hotel, amazed by all the splendor that surrounded him. He looked around, admiring the luxurious furniture, expensive wallpaper, and sparkling chandeliers. "This is the city I need to conquer," he said with a wide smile. "It will be interesting." Nate was known for his adventurous spirit and unmeasured courage. He was a young man who always had fun and was not afraid of anything. He felt at home wherever he was and knew he would have many interesting adventures in the luxurious city he had just arrived in. Nate took his luggage and headed to his apartment, ready to discover everything the city had to offer. He was eager to start his new adventures and knew he would do everything to make it worthwhile. Alex was a quiet and reserved young man who preferred to keep to himself. He lived a simple life and avoided any kind of attention or unnecessary drama. He was content with his solitude and enjoyed spending his days lost in books and his own thoughts. On the other hand, Nate was the complete opposite of Alex. He was always the center of attention and loved being in the spotlight. He was outgoing, charismatic, and always up for a good time. He was the life of the party and made friends wherever he went. Despite their differences, both Alex and Nate had a sense of adventure. It was only a matter of time before their paths would cross and they would embark on a journey together. As the clock struck 3 in the morning, the streets were deserted and the city was shrouded in darkness. It was in this quiet and stillness that the mysterious young man and the man in the alley crossed paths. On a dark and deserted alley, the man was being chased by some terrifying gangsters. However, in the shadows of the night, the young figure with the black mask on their face appeared out of nowhere, pulling the gangsters into the darkness. They approached the man from behind and whispered in his ear, "It's time to get rid of the mafia." The darkness surrounding them seemed to deepen, and mystery hung in the air. Without looking back, the man took a deep breath and started running as fast as he could, assured that the young man with the black mask would be by his side, and this was his only chance to protect his family. And so, their journey together began, with the mystery of the night deepening around them. Sitting atop a tall building, the mysterious young man known as Shadow surveyed the city below. He exuded an air of mystery and danger. He was a man of few words, preferring to let his actions speak for themselves. He was ready to face any challenge that came his way, no matter how difficult or dangerous it may be. Dressed in a sleek black suit and with a black mask covering his face, he was a member of the Gregorian Moretti clan of assassins, renowned for their skill and precision. As he gazed out at the city, he knew that he was destined for greatness and that nothing would stand in his way. The club was packed with people, all dressed to impress and ready to have a good time. The music was loud and pulsing, filling the air with energy. The lights were flashing and colorful, creating a mesmerizing spectacle. In the center of it all was Nate, the young man who was the life of the party. He was tall and handsome, with a friendly smile and a confident demeanor. Everywhere he went, people gravitated towards him, drawn in by his charisma and charm. As Nate danced and mingled with the crowd, everyone around him seemed to be having the time of their lives. They laughed and cheered and let themselves go, caught up in the joy of the moment. Alice was having a great time at the club with her colleagues. She had dressed up in her favorite outfit and was feeling confident and sexy. As she danced and mingled with the crowd, she couldn't help but feel alive. That was when she saw him. Nate was the center of attention. Alice couldn't help but feel drawn to him, even from across the room. As she watched Nate, she felt her heart flutter and her cheeks flush. She knew that she was falling in love with him, but she didn't want to show it. She was afraid of rejection and didn't want to make a fool of herself. But then, something unexpected happened. Nate crossed his eyes 2 or 3 times, making a silly face that made Alice burst out laughing. She couldn't help but smile and shake her head, feeling a sudden rush of affection for him. As the night went on, Alice couldn't take her eyes off of Nate. She longed to go up to him and strike up a conversation, but she didn't know what to say. She hoped that somehow, some way, they would find a way to be together. Alice was having a great time at the club, dancing and laughing with her friends. She was feeling confident and carefree, enjoying the music and the atmosphere. That was when a young man approached her, trying to strike up a conversation. Alice wasn't interested and politely declined, trying to make it clear that she wasn't interested. But the young man didn't take the hint. He got angry and grabbed her hand, trying to pull her closer. Alice tried to pull away, feeling a sense of panic wash over her. Just when things were starting to get out of hand, Nate appeared out of nowhere. He stepped in and gently but firmly pushed the young man away, protecting Alice from harm. "Are you okay?" Nate asked, his voice full of concern. Alice nodded, feeling grateful and relieved. "Thank you," she said, looking up at Nate with a look of admiration. Nate gave her a small smile, then turned and walked back to his table, leaving Alice with a mix of emotions. She was thankful for Nate's intervention, but she couldn't help feeling a twinge of disappointment as he walked away. She knew that she had to find a way to talk to him and tell him how she felt. As the night went on, Alice couldn't shake the feeling that she and Nate were meant to be together. She watched him from afar, longing for the moment when they could be alone and talk. Finally, as the club was closing down, Alice summoned the courage to approach Nate. She walked up to him and asked if he wanted to grab a wine with her. To her delight, Nate agreed, and they left the club together, chatting and laughing as they walked. Alice knew that she had found something special in Nate, and she couldn't wait to see where their relationship would take them. As Alice and Nate walked out of the club, chatting and laughing, Nate's phone rang. He fumbled in his pocket and pulled it out, frowning as he saw the caller ID. "I'm sorry, I have to take this," Nate said, looking apologetic. "It's work." Alice nodded, trying to hide her disappointment. Nate answered the phone and walked a few steps away, talking in a low voice. Alice watched him go, feeling a mix of emotions. Just when she thought the night was over, Nate hung up the phone and walked back to her. He leaned down and kissed her on the cheek, his lips soft and warm. "Have a nice evening," Nate said, his voice full of tenderness. "Take care." With that, Nate turned and walked away, leaving Alice standing with her friend, her heart full of longing. She knew that she had just experienced something special, and she couldn't wait to see Nate again. The students walked through the gates of the school with mixed feelings. On one hand, they were excited to see their friends and classmates again after the summer vacation. On the other hand, the idea of returning to the classroom filled them with dread. The prospect of long lectures and endless homework hung over them like a dark cloud. Despite their worries, the students put on brave faces as they greeted their teachers and took their seats. They knew that there was no avoiding the daily routine of school. trapped in the cycle of academia until the sweet release of summer vacation. As Alex arrived at school, his luxurious car pulled up to the gates, and his valet stepped out to open the door for him. The other students couldn't help but stare as Alex emerged from the back seat, dressed in the finest clothes and looking every bit the wealthy and entitled young man that he was. He strode through the gates of the school, a sense of superiority surrounding him like a cloak. The other students made way for him as he passed, some with envy and others with disdain. Alex didn't seem to notice or care. As he entered the school, he was greeted with a mixture of awe and resentment, but it didn't faze him. He was just glad to be out of the car and away from his stuffy valet, ready to start another day at school. As Alex entered the classroom on the first day of his senior year, he couldn't help but feel a sense of nervousness and uncertainty. He was starting at a new school and didn't know anyone, which made him feel shy and isolated. He took a seat in the back of the room and tried to blend into the background, hoping that no one would notice him. As the other students chattered and laughed, Alex couldn't help but feel left out. It was then that he spotted Alice, a beautiful blonde girl with piercing blue eyes. Alex couldn't help but feel a spark of attraction as he gazed at her from afar. But even as he longed to approach Alice and strike up a conversation, his shyness held him back. As the day went on, Alex tried his best to pay attention to the lessons, but his thoughts kept drifting back to Alice. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were meant to be together, and yet he didn't know how to make it happen. He knew that he had to find a way to overcome his fears and speak to her, or he might never have the chance again. As the final bell of the day rang, signaling the end of classes, Alex gathered his things and made his way out of the classroom. As he walked through the school gates, he saw his luxurious car waiting for him, with his valet standing at attention beside it. Just as he was about to get into the car, he heard a commotion nearby. He turned to see two thugs assaulting Alice's twin brother, Darius. Without hesitation, Alex sprang into action. He called out to his valet to deal with the thugs, and then rushed to Darius's side to help him up. As the thugs fled, Alex lifted Darius to his feet and helped him to safety. Alice, who had been watching from a distance, rushed over to thank Alex for his heroism. But before she could say a word, Alex turned and silently slipped into the back seat of his car. As the car pulled away, Alice watched with a mixture of gratitude and confusion. The ensuing weeks at school unfolded like a kaleidoscope of lectures, assignments, and social rendezvous. Alex gradually acclimated to the routine, yet his thoughts remained tethered to the enigmatic incident involving Alice's twin brother, Darius. The memory of that day lingered, casting a subtle unease that eluded resolution. Whispers began to weave through the corridors, weaving tales of a mysterious entity known as the Shadow. Murmurs wafted through the air as students exchanged hushed conversations about a phantom guardian silently warding off the encroaching darkness. Some professed to have glimpsed a swift, dark figure vanishing into the night before the beholder could grasp a distinct visage. As the legend of the Shadow unfurled, so did conjecture. Some dismissed it as mere lore, a concoction of hyperactive imaginations seeking refuge from the monotony of academia. Others, however, swore by their encounters, recounting stories of near brushes and an uncanny feeling of being observed in the school's dimmest corners. Alice, captivated by the tales of the Shadow, found herself compelled to investigate. She delved into the mysterious occurrences, sifting through clues and interconnections. The more she unearthed, the more convinced she became that there was veracity within the legend. One evening, as the sun dipped beneath the horizon and the school grounds bathed in the soft glow of street lights, Alice embarked on an exploration. Her curiosity guided her towards the abandoned wing of the school, a rumored haunt of a spectral former student. Alice dismissed the ghostly anecdotes as mere superstitions, yet as she ventured deeper into the dimly lit corridor, an eerie sensation enveloped her. Abruptly, the temperature plummeted, and an otherworldly energy saturated the air. Alice's heart quickened as she sensed a presence in the shadows. Whispers echoed through the empty halls, and the feeble light flickered. Then, emerging from the obscurity, manifested the Shadow. Adorned in a sleek black ensemble, the enigmatic figure stood before Alice, their identity concealed by a mask veiling their features. The eyes of the Shadow, however, gleamed with a resolute determination. "You shouldn't be here," resonated the Shadow's voice mysteriously. "This place harbors secrets best left undiscovered." Alice, caught in the cross-current of fear and fascination, stuttered, "Who are you? Why do you protect us?" The Shadow's response proved cryptic. "Some shadows are better left undisturbed. Return to the light, Alice, and leave the mysteries of the night to those who comprehend its dance." With that, the Shadow dissolved into the shadows, leaving Alice both awestruck and confounded. The legend of the Shadow had materialized before her eyes, and the demarcation between reality and myth blurred within the dimly illuminated corridors of the haunted school. Little did she grasp that her rendezvous with the Shadow would set in motion a sequence of events intertwining her fate with the enigmatic guardian of the night, unfurling a journey where the boundaries between darkness and light would undergo an irreversible transformation. The school year unfolded like a tapestry of challenges and discoveries, each day bringing new revelations. Alice, still entranced by the mysteries surrounding the Shadow, found herself drawn deeper into a clandestine realm that blurred the lines between reality and the enigmatic. One day, as the golden hues of the autumn sun cast long shadows across the school courtyard, Alice stumbled upon an antique shop nestled in the heart of the town. Its facade, adorned with weathered charms and faded symbols, beckoned her inside. Little did she anticipate that within the confines of this unassuming emporium, she would unearth a relic that held the key to a labyrinth of secrets. Amongst the array of forgotten treasures, Alice's gaze fixated on a bracelet, an ornate piece that seemed to whisper forgotten tales. The metal gleamed with an ethereal luster, and precious stones embedded within its intricate design sparkled as if reflecting the light of a hidden moon. As she delicately touched the bracelet, an inexplicable energy surged through her fingertips, sending a shiver down her spine. The shopkeeper, an old man with knowing eyes, observed Alice with a quiet intensity. "Ah, the Shadow Seeker has found her way," he murmured cryptically, his voice a mere echo in the hushed ambiance of the shop. Unbeknownst to Alice, the bracelet she held had a storied history, an artifact with the power to unveil the mysteries woven into the fabric of her destiny. Crafted by an ancient artisan whose name had been long lost to time, the bracelet bore symbols that transcended the ordinary, a code that only those initiated into the secrets of the night could decipher. As Alice donned the bracelet, an invisible bond formed between her and the artifact, awakening dormant energies that pulsed through her veins. She felt a surge of visions, fragments of a puzzle waiting to be pieced together. Shadows whispered ancient secrets, and a profound connection to the Shadow himself unfurled within her consciousness. Unbeknownst to Alice, her discovery resonated across the realms inhabited by Alex, Nate, and the Shadow. The triad of personas intertwined within a single soul felt the subtle vibrations of the bracelet's awakening. Alex, the quiet and reserved, sensed a stirring in his thoughts, a call to venture beyond the surface of his existence. Nate, the charismatic thrill-seeker, felt a yearning for an adventure that transcended the visible spectrum of reality. And the Shadow, the enigmatic guardian, perceived a disturbance in the harmonious dance between light and dark. Each persona, a facet of the same intricate gem, embarked on a clandestine quest towards the bracelet's allure. Unbeknownst to them, their fates were converging, drawn together by an invisible force that pulsed through the threads of destiny. As Alice navigated the labyrinth of her newfound revelations, she found herself caught between the realms of day and night, shadow and light, The bracelet, a conduit for the ancient forces that bound her fate with that of the elusive trio, harbored secrets that would redefine the balance between the seen and the unseen. The journey had just begun, and the intricate dance of destinies unfolded, propelled by the mystery encapsulated within the bracelet's beguiling embrace. Little did they know that the artifacts of fate had set in motion a sequence of events that would shape their shared destiny in ways they could never have foreseen.